All right, we're going to model a Pokeball using mostly ZModeler and some other tricks. This was a request on my channel a while back. Sorry it took me so long, but we're doing it now. So first thing I'm going to do is go and we're going to look at a sphere 3D. So I'm going to drag this out, and what we call this is a polarized sphere. So just like if you're looking at a globe and it's got the longitude and latitude lines coming up to a point, if we go over here to initialize, we'll make this h divide 16, hit tab, make that 16, hit enter. And we can start here. Now, you might think that if we just if I hold down Control Shift and just grab this here, and I can hit Control W. Actually, we can't do that yet. We need to go over here to Make Polymesh 3D up here in the Tools. And now we can actually edit this thing. So if I go over here, Control Shift drag, and just isolate this, hit Control W. There we go. You might think, well, we can pop this off, and that'll be kind of the round part up front, and then we can divide the two shells, and you can do that. The only problem is when we go to put that flat middle piece, it's going to cause problems back here. Another alternative is we can flip it on its side here, and then we can divide this thing in half. Now, of course, when I did the H divides and the V divides, it didn't make us a very divided down the middle sphere. So what I'm actually going to do is hit this comma key, and I'm going to go up here to Project, and you're going to see a default sphere in here. I'm just going to double click that project. That'll load up a project. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor button off. And now I've got a sphere that's a little bit weirder. It's not polarized. It's like a cube that was turned into a sphere. So what I mean by that is if I go over here to Geometry, I'm going to crank this subdivision level down to 1. And you're going to see it didn't really change. Didn't look like it changed anything. It just brought it down to the base subdivision level here. I'm going to do Reconstruct. And if you keep hitting that, it's going to go all the way back to a cube. So what I'm going to do is let's go to subdivision level 4 on this thing, and I go delete lower and delete higher. So now we just have base geometry. There's no subdivision history on this thing at all. So what I'm going to do is use this as my Pokesphere base. Now by default, this project is set up that I have transform activated in the X symmetry. If I hit X, that toggles that on and off. So I want that on for now. And the first thing I'm going to do is make the circle part in the front here. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift. And I'm going to grab, instead of the select rectangle, I'm going to go over here to slice circle. And I'm going to hold down Control Shift, and under the circle, I'm going to choose, it's already got center, I'm going to do square center. I'm going to hold down Control Shift again with slice circle, square center, and then I'm just going to drag out, and I'm just going to cut a circle right down the middle of that thing. Now you're going to see it went all the way through my object, not what I wanted. So undo that, hold down Control Shift, go back to select rectangle, grab half the object, so just half of it's visible. And then Control Shift, slice rectangle, right down the middle here. And now we've got a hole sliced in it. And now we can start doing our Pokeball. So what I want to do is put the two shells. So if I go down here, if I hold down Control Shift, do select rectangle, I'm going to grab this top part here. And then hold down Control Shift and click on one of these green verts. And that'll get rid of that. And then with just this whole top part showing, I'm going to hit Control W. That'll give it its own unique polygroup. And so now what I can do is I can do a quick panel loops. So if I go over here to my edge loop properties, you're going to see I have panel loop options. If I just hit panel loop, what it's going to do is kind of do a overall averaging of some vertices. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to take this polish and just drag that down to 0. The other thing is it's not making it very thick, so I'm going to crank that thickness up to 1.3, and then hit panel loops again, and you're going to see it's kind of bubbling out as it does its panel loops, which is okay in this case. It's not a huge deal. But if you don't want that to happen, change your elevation to -100. And now when you hit panel loops, it's going to keep that outer shell right where you left it. Now it is beveling in these bevels, which is okay, but most of the Pokeballs I see, it's pretty sharp, angular thing. So what we need to fix here is under this bevel profile, you're seeing it's actually creating this shape with the number of loops we have, which is 5. So when you hit panel loops, and I'm going to hold down Control Shift, grab this top shell, hold down Control Shift and just tap it, and then do Control Shift A, which is for you, visibility, grow all. The shortcut for that is Control Shift A. Then you're going to see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops that make a shape that goes up, over, and down. So if I look over here, it goes up, over, and down, and it has 5 loops. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that all the way back. So what I basically want to do, I don't need 5 loops. Let's go ahead and just change that to 3. And I don't need this bevel profile here, so I'm going to hit reset. And the other thing is, if I just hit panel loops now, what it's going to do is leave a big gap. If you think about this middle section as where these panels meet, that's what we're looking for. If you go past that middle section all the way up, and then we undo that, and then we hit panel loops again, they're going to cross over. So we want those to meet exactly. I'm going to put it right here in the middle, and now those panel loops will meet. So now if I hit panel loops, it's going to look like it didn't change anything. However, if I hold down Control Shift and grab one of those shells and then do Control Shift A, you're going to see we have a top piece here, and then grab the bottom piece, Control Shift A, and we have a bottom piece, and then we have Control Shift A, and a middle piece. They're a little bit thick, so I'm going to undo all of that, and then we'll do we'll be 0.08, and then hit panel loops, and we'll just test this and see. Control Shift A. There we go. I think this is good enough.